ground. And as production goes on, the pressure in the ground decreases, the oil production goes into terminal decline. On the left-hand chart, you see a succession of oil wells, each one adding to the other one. As time goes by, production goes up, then you hit a peak. Once you've hit that peak, you go into terminal decline, not for that just one single well, but actually for the entire oil field. An example of a first country which has gone through the whole process of the peak and then the terminal decline, and that is a small country in Central Europe. It is Austria, and it gives you a good example of what peak oil actually means. Here you have the actual chart of the oil production in Austria. You see a peak in 1955. Since then, Austria has gone into a terminal decline of oil production. The production actually is down by 80% from its peak, in spite of an increase in oil price, which should get them motivated to produce more, in spite of political stability, and in spite of improvement in extraction technologies. Austria should be producing more, yet they're producing much less because the oil reserves are just disappearing. Another example of terminal decline is the production of oil in the country of Mexico. You see on this chart the production of the main oil field in Mexico called Canerell. It's offshore in the Gulf of Mexico. The blue line shows you the beginning of production in 1979, a nice increase up to approximately 1 million barrels per day until 1997. In 1997 and forward, we had a sharp increase in production thanks to brand new technologies. In other words, the technique of nitrogen injection into the ground, which increases the pressure and allows a new increase in production. That increase in production lasted from 1997 up until 2003. In 2003, this brand new technique of pushing nitrogen into the ground came to an end, as again we saw a sharp decrease in production from 2.2 million barrels a day, dropping between 2003 and 2009 to a mere 600,000 barrels a day in the Canerell oil field. And finally, end of 2010, we are barely at 500,000 barrels per day. So a decrease of 75% in 6 years in the production of the largest oil field in Mexico. Furthermore, the decrease in production for the main oil field, as you can see in green, is not counterbalanced by the new increases in production of the new oil fields. In orange, the second largest oil field in Mexico has increased in production, yet the net effect for the whole country of the very sharp decrease in oil production at Canerell is a decrease of approximately 25% for the whole country between 2004 and into 2009. One question we can start asking ourselves: what effect does this have on the Mexican oil exports? The very clear effects on Mexican oil exports you can see on this chart. In gray, the oil production; in yellow, the internal consumption of oil within the country of Mexico. And finally, in the years to come, from 2012 and forward, we have a decrease of the exports, and in fact Mexico could become a net importer of oil products as of mid-2012 and forward. This obviously has a very serious effect on the exports of Mexico into the United States, and it's quite obvious that the United States will have to find a new partner for importing oil into their country, as the exports of Mexico will have gone to approximately zero by then. Mexico is a serious candidate for a serious peak. From 3.2 million barrels of production per day, they're down to 2.5 million. Expect them to be below 2 million by mid-2012, and therefore no longer will be oil exporters. That means that their position of being second largest importer of oil products into the United States will simply completely disappear off the charts. So now let's come to a country